to this week's episode of Chop the Rock. I'm Diana Long, Director of River Market Operations for the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau, here today with our guest chef, Capi Peck of Trios. How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you so much for being on today.
Chopping garlic.
Chopping garlic.
Yeah, one of my favorite things. I'm happy to be here, finally.
Thank you. Yes, you're so busy. It's hard to get anything scheduled there, but talk to me a little bit about Trios. Y'all have been here kind of what feels like forever in Little Rock as a staple.
We opened in 1986, 31 years ago.
Wow.
In Pavilion in the Park. We were in the same location. We've been there all along. And I'm just so proud of that. To be an independent restaurant with that kind of a running history in any city is a big deal. So I'm very grateful for Little Rock for supporting me for so long.
They have, but it's because you guys offer such a wonderful menu, and the food is always just so consistently good and varied.
We change our menu, I think, more often than anybody that I know. Seasonally, we have a very farm-to-table driven menu.
Yes.
Before it was the cool thing. Now everybody does farm-to-table. But we change things so often, and that keeps me interested. It keeps our customers interested. But we have some things that we call mainstays that we have daily, like the Voodoo Pasta.
Which is what we're making today.
Keep people kind of in their comfort zone.
Right,
And
right.
This is one of our signature dishes. It's not on our lunch menu, it's on our evening menu, but we've been making this for, I think, 29 or maybe 30 years, shortly after we opened.
So you could make this in your sleep. Do you dream about making Voodoo Pasta sometimes?
The thing I really dream about more than anything are cutting strawberries for the strawberry shortcake when the berries are in season.
I have had that strawberry shortcake.
Pretty good.
It is amazing. Y'all go through quite a bit of strawberries, I imagine.
We buy about 3,000 pounds of Arkansas berries every year, which doesn't sound like that much, but when you think about what does a berry really weigh, it's a whole lot of berries.
I think it might fill this room.
I think it might.
Great, so tell me a little bit about the Voodoo Pasta. I am looking at some amazing ingredients here. We have shrimp, we have chicken. What kind of sausage?
That's andouille sausage.
An andouille sausage. We've got some sun-dried tomatoes and this beautiful black pasta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's black because of the squid ink. And let me just back up for one quick second. I'm making the sauce right now. This is a fairly classic Alfredo sauce. I'm trying to rescue this one whole clove of garlic because, of course, I would eat that. You can never have too much garlic in my world.
I would eat that.
But we're making a pretty basic, classic Alfredo sauce.
Okay.
So I've got some olive oil, shallots, which in the onion family, a little bit milder than a regular onion. And as you were saying, they're small, so if you can't use up a whole onion, keep some shallots around.
That's what I use at home because I can't find a regular onion at a store that's small enough to where it doesn't go to waste at some point.
Right, so shallots are awesome. And again, they're a little milder, more like a leek. A leek is also a good alternative. I like to use those a lot. But I'm sauteing that in a little bit of olive oil. Just enough until it's aromatic, and I like to use a good olive oil. That's important. And then some parsley. I use parsley in just about every savory dish because I think it just makes things taste bright.
But it also makes it look bright too. So it's got kind of both of those things going for it.
I think parsley is so underappreciated. I really do. I love to use it. So we're making the Alfredo sauce. What I've done in advance is, as you were talking about this black pasta, it's black because it is colored with squid ink. It is tasteless, odorless really, and it just makes it look a little bit more dramatic. After all, this is Voodoo Pasta.
That's right, that's right.
And the inspiration for this, back in, I think it was 87 or 88, I was in Nashville for a conference, and I ate at a restaurant and had a dish called Voodoo Pasta. It was very similar to this, and I absolutely loved it. So I came back to Trios and tried to recreate it and put my own little spin on it. Made it a little bit spicier with the jalapeno peppers. I don't think theirs had chicken. I think it had sausage and shrimp. And that's where I get a lot of inspiration, is from traveling and seeing what other restaurants are doing. That sort of inspires me to use that as sort of a launching pad to do my own thing. So now I've got the shallots, garlic, and parsley and olive oil.
This smells so good.
Very aromatic. I'm going to then deglaze it, turn the fire up just a little bit with some white wine.
So tell me a little bit more about what does deglaze mean?
Once you've cooked it down and things are nice and aromatic, we're going to turn the heat up a little bit. Deglazing is just like taking the oil out, infusing those three ingredients more, marrying them more, and then imparting a little flavor of the white wine. And we're going to let that cook down just a little bit. It won't all cook out, and that's going to be the base. Beyond that, we're just adding heavy cream, off heat, a little sour cream, and Parmesan cheese, a little salt and pepper.
Super
and that's
simple.
the Alfredo sauce.
Wow, okay.
So that's, the classic fettuccine Alfredo. This is how one would make it at home.
So if you are making this at home, you could just use the Alfredo part of this recipe and put just about anything you wanted to with it.
And the great thing about this recipe is because it's cooked to order, say you have a shrimp allergy, say you don't like sausage, if you want it vegetarian, just use the sun-dried tomatoes, use everything else that will really impart the flavor, and just customize it based on what you or your family likes.
And you said cook to order, so at the restaurant, if someone comes in and they want to switch it up a little bit?
We can do all sausage. We can do it vegetarian. A lot of people are gluten intolerant now. We can serve it over rice.
Ah, okay.
We can really do everything, and I think most independent restaurants are accustomed to that. If you make everything from scratch, you can alter it and really cater to an individual's either whims or dietary constraints or concerns.
That's a great thing about Trios is that you do make everything from scratch, all the way to the bread.
We do. Make the bread. Yep, we do.
Which is incredible. You told me a really good story here about these sun-dried tomatoes that are going to go in.
They're so common now, but back in the 80s when we first opened, I make a lot of things with pesto and a lot of things that are Italian in nature, although Mexican food is my number one love. But we had to source and specially order sun-dried tomatoes. As we were talking earlier, the culinary landscape has changed so much in Little Rock. Now you can get these, at Kroger. You can find ancho chilies or tomatillos or all of these Peruvian pink salt and truffle oil. Those things used to be really, really difficult to get.
So interesting, and it's a great, kind of evolution of just the general public's palate too. I mean, used to the chefs were the only ones who kind of knew about these things. You'd put them into a dish.
Hello, my glasses are foggy. Doesn't that smell good?
It does. It smells wonderful.
Well, you know what I think changed the culinary landscape more than anything is food television. Now everybody's a chef. Everybody knows what a coulis is. Everybody knows what sous vide is. They see it on TV. They expect restaurants to be able to do these fabulous things, and often they can do them at home. So I think that has revolutionized restaurants, is that exposure to what people are doing, not just all over their town or our country, but all over the world.
And
I
in
think
people's
that's
homes.
exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you weren't able to get the black pasta, which you won't be able to get, you could use any sort of pasta. But I just think this is fun and kind of lends itself to the whole voodoo name.
So let's talk a little bit about your pasta technique here. So did you salt the water?
Yes.
Tell me about how you cooked it. And then I noticed that you put the olive oil on it after.
So it doesn't stick together.
Right.
So and if one were making this at home, you don't have to wait and cook the pasta and time that with the sauce. You can cook it the day before, hours before, and refresh it under cold water so it doesn't stick together. And then to hold it, just drizzle a little olive oil over it. And then right before you use it, if you're not putting it in hot sauce like we are, you can just submerge it briefly in boiling water just to heat through, and you're done.
Wow, okay,
good.
good.
Trick of the restaurant tray.
That's a great trick, because I know that I've cooked pasta at home, and it's very hard to get the measurement. I always cook way too much pasta for what I need.
It grows, it does. But the rule of thumb is 4 servings per pound.
Okay.
And this is actually what they call fresh frozen pasta, because it's not dried. After it's made or extruded, it just is coiled up in these little nests and frozen, and it's the closest thing to fresh pasta. We were talking about, do you make your own pasta? For some dishes we do. For this, I would have to just hire a full-time person just to make the black pasta.
Right. So it's just
But
not
you know, you
worth it
see
in that.
spinach pasta. We sometimes use that. That's spinach that's worked into the flour.
Right.
And again, this is just squid ink, which I think is a fun thing.
It is
So,
absolutely
and you asked
fun.
me if I salted the water.
Yes.
Definitely,
Okay.
because pasta won't taste like anything if you don't. The rule of thumb to me is it should be as salty as the ocean water is. So a lot of salt, and you'll see most chefs like to use kosher salt, and that's not because I am Jewish, but it's not because I'm using kosher salt. It is so easy to control because it has a bigger grain.
Right.
And then, okay, here we're adding a little bit of heavy cream. Not half and half, but like heavy whipping cream.
Heavy whipping cream.
Then we're going to turn that, let that simmer for a minute, and it's going to start coming together, then we'll finish the sauce.
Okay.
But I like to use the kosher salt. Another thing, you want a big pot of boiling and roiling water so it doesn't all stick together.
Gotcha. So use it maybe a bigger pot than you think you might
Absolutely.
need.
And more salt than you think you need.
Because it's not going to the pasta will only absorb as much, like some of the salt, I guess. Okay.
Exactly. And then the other key thing is to not overcook it, especially in a dish like this where it's going to go back in with the other ingredients and be warmed through.
Right.
So you really want to take care. Al dente means to the tooth, and in theory, you should be able, I won't do this on camera, you should be able to throw a piece of pasta and it should stick on the wall.
That's how I test my pasta.
Okay,
at home.
good,
Yes.
good.
It's the funnest part of cooking pasta.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the only time you ever get to throw food against the wall, and it's absolutely acceptable and recommended.
Okay, let's continue. I've got some olive oil
Yes.
in here.
So this is a
off from the
big
grill.
non-stick skillet with a little bit of olive oil in it that you've got probably medium-high.
Yeah, medium high, it's maybe a little bit too high. I'm going to cook the chicken first because that takes the longest to cook.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to cook it all the way through because it's going to continue to cook.
Right.
So I'm going to keep it kind of moving around.
Okay.
And again, if you don't like chicken, you don't have to use it. So I'm going to turn that down, leave that alone. We're going to see how this is going. That's coming together. In a couple of minutes, I'll add the andouille sausage
Okay.
and the shrimp. That's going to take a little bit less time,
Okay.
so I don't need to be worried about it that much. The other mise en place, or the other things to finish the dish, are green onions, the sun-dried tomatoes, jalapeno peppers, more parsley, more garlic. Did I use all my garlic? Wow. Okay. There's garlic in the sauce, and there's garlic in the meat. So would you be so kind and chop that for me?
Absolutely.
You can do it.
I can do this.
So yeah, garlic in both the Alfredo sauce and in the saute of the proteins.
I really think that you can't ever get too much garlic in anything.
I love garlic. I use it in almost every savory thing that I cook. I really do. Okay, the Alfredo's coming together. I'm going to add a little more cream.
This is not like a lengthy dish to cook.
No,
this
it's
is
not.
one of those things that you could come home from work and, in under 30 minutes have an
Absolutely.
absolutely fabulous meal.
Yeah, and like I said, if you don't like pasta, it's actually great over rice. Some people prefer it over rice. Just something to kind of soak everything up. That's perfect. Now that can go in with the chicken. Perfect. Now we're going to add some sun-dried tomatoes, a little bit of jalapeno pepper, some green onion,
Ooh, it's going to be so pretty too.
and I'm going to now take the shrimp.
So the shrimp
And the
only
sausage?
takes them like a minute to cook. Shrimp is super fast.
Yeah, a couple of
The
minutes.
sausage is technically,
It's already cooked.
It's
so we're
cooked, you're just heating
through.
it.
So the sausage is going to go in. So I want the chicken to be a little bit browned, but not completely cooked. And you want to keep it moving, keep it jumping. And you should start smelling some of Some more garlic.
Some more garlic, that's right. Okay.
And got the sauces simmering.
So we're in good shape here.
That smells good. Okay. Then off heat, we'll add the sour cream
Okay.
and Parmesan cheese.
And that looks like is that like a cup
About
of
a
sour
cup.
cream?
Well,
Okay.
it's about a cup. This is going to make a little more sauce than we need, but it's about 3-to-1 sour cream and heavy cream.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
people make this with straight up heavy cream. I like the richness of the sour cream, and it helps, coat the noodles better.
Gotcha.
The only thing is that it's not terribly heat stable. So if you're going to make this at home, don't take this right out of the fridge. Let it come to room temperature or close to, and whisk it in at room temperature.
At
and then
the
you can
end.
and then you can heat it gently.
Gotcha.
Yes, you can heat
Gotcha.
it through, but you certainly don't want to boil it.
Right.
So here's the Alfredo. It's
Oh,
coming
wow.
together.
And it's already a little bit thick looking just
It's
as that
thickening
cream
up.
has cooked.
And again, this is a great thing just to keep in the refrigerator. It'll keep for several days. Okay, let's see how we're doing over here.
And it'll thicken in the fridge. So let's say I wanted to make some of this Alfredo. Look
So
at
that's what
that.
we're looking. That's how it's looking before we add the pasta and the sauce. So this would be good. Just pour it over rice or just in a cereal bowl.
Right, yeah, that would just be good by itself if you're trying to go extra healthy, or maybe you could put in some additional vegetables like cauliflower. People are using cauliflower in everything. It takes on the flavor of.
It's the darling of the vegetable world right now.
It
really
is.
It's sort of like kale was a couple of years ago. Everybody.
Yes.
And I love cauliflower.
I cook cauliflower every possible way that I can find a recipe for, just to kind of have fun with it. But that'd be a great thing that you could add. Or even, if you wanted to go super healthy, some kale cut into some strips, almost like pasta-like strips, would also be really
Absolutely.
good in that.
I'm adding some salt. And what I don't have, but I do like to use, especially in an Alfredo sauce, is a little bit of nutmeg, just a hint
Really?
of nutmeg. And that's actually very traditional in Alfredo.
I have seen that in kind of a fancy Italian restaurant before, where they will have just a touch, a little bit of sprinkle in there.
And honestly, in a dish like this, you're not going to be able to detect that. If it was just a classic fettuccine Alfredo with just the pasta and the Alfredo, you would be able, and again, it'd be more in your nose than in
More
your
of an
palate.
aroma than a
But with
flavor.
all of this stuff going on, you would never know. So I'm going to turn this way down because it's ready and I don't want to overcook it. Actually, just take that off the heat. Here we've got our Alfredo. I'm going to add some cheese.
Do we need to sit that?
Yeah,
There we go.
And I'm going to stir the cheese in. This is going to thicken it up.
About how much Parmesan?
It's about a cup of Parmesan and a cup of Parmesan.
Okay.
A cup of sour cream to about 2.5 cups of. This is not heart healthy, by the way. Just FYI.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. It's not. Pretty sure it's not heart healthy, but it's good.
It is good. It's
can be good.
okay. It's
You
okay
can
to
be
cheat.
good the rest of the day.
That's right. You should have a cheat meal, and this is a great one. This is definitely worth that richness there.
Oh, it is. And I mean, this has got a great mouthfeel to it. You've got so many different textures. You have the sausage, the shrimp, the sun-dried tomatoes retain some of their texture. I'm going to see how this is. It's tasting pretty good. Add a little more cheese. Do a little more parsley, because in my world, you can never have too much parsley. Do a little bit more pepper. I think that when I share this recipe, I usually tell people to use white pepper. White pepper is it's a little bit different than black pepper. Again, it's a little more aromatic. It's not as intense. It's definitely pepper, but it's a little more subtle, I think.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a tiny bit more salt. And that's really done. Okay, so the next step, let's taste that. Do you want to taste
spoons.
it?
Yes.
Okay. That's a perfect consistency. That's going to coat my pasta.
Yes.
Well,
it looks just
So let's see,
thick in
how
that.
see
Ooh,
if
and
that
that
needs any
cheese.
salt or anything.
Ooh, that's perfect.
Tastes pretty good.
And the sour cream gives it another element of flavor that
Sour.
yes.
But not sour like sour apple.
Right.
But again, you're right, it does.
I don't
And
know that.
I like that.
Right, yeah, I don't know that. I've never done that before with an Alfredo at home, but I'm not sure that I've had an Alfredo that's had that kind of flavor to it.
Because it's not
really
really
good.
an Alfredo. This is not traditional because we did the sour cream.
Gotcha.
But I'm calling it that. Okay, so that's done. So we've got the pasta. We've got our proteins with our sun-dried tomatoes and green
You
onions.
got the back
and
one came on.
I've got the wrong burner on. Okay, come on, baby. I might have to.
You may need some love.
Come on. How about this one? There. Okay. So the sauce is here. The pasta's done. Let's see. Do we have
Plates?
a little?
I have a pasta
yeah.
bowl.
A pasta bowl would be good. Oh, this is what I want. Little colander. I've got actually 2 colanders over here.
So we
Make
kind of
sure
turn this
everything's
off.
done.
Right, we turned this off just for a minute to make sure it wasn't overcooking while we were finishing the sauce, which does need a pretty good amount of attention there at
Yeah,
the
it
end to be able
does.
to get that all incorporated and to make sure that you're not burning that. And so what Cappy's doing now is just kind of reheating,
So here
making
goes
sure
the
it's good and
shrimp
hot.
at the very end.
Add the shrimp at the very, very end. Obviously, still keep it moving. And you don't have to try to do a fancy flip technique or anything like that.
I think this looks pretty impressive. This looks like you have perhaps slaved over it for a long time. And honestly, we put this together in 30 minutes.
It's crazy,
And
but it's beautiful,
and
yes.
sometimes, I get bored with the voodoo pasta, and I'm like, oh my God, it's been on the menu for 29 years. I want to take it off. I want to change it. Somebody would find my house and burn it down.
Absolutely.
Even if I gave them the recipe, said you can make this at home.
They don't want to. They want
No.
you to make it. Want to come in and have that great experience. So Trios is open for lunch and dinner. Is this Monday through Saturday, or are y'all 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
And do you do brunch?
We do brunch. The only
Including?
meal we don't serve is Sunday dinner. So we're open for brunch on Sunday. And, used to, I guess we started serving brunch, it's been a few years now. And it used to be hard to find a place to have brunch in Little Rock. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
A lot
That's
of
another
people-
one of those things that has become very popular throughout. And you can get all kinds of brunch now.
Back in the days when I was not open for Sunday brunch, that was my favorite meal to have out.
Me too.
Well, usually it was often my only day off. I love brunch food. And we have a great brunch menu. We have a lot of the classics like the Benedicts, but we've got some very unusual things from the Yucatan Peninsula, a place I like to go to a lot in Mexico. So you'll see a lot of seriously original, authentic Mexican food on our menu.
So
That's
it's kind of
my very favorite cuisine.
Yeah, right. So that's another thing about Trios is that you've got Italian, you've got
It's really-
Mexican. It's very eclectic.
It is. It's really global. We do a lot of Asian cuisine. Our seafood, everything is wild caught and sustainable. The only frozen thing we get is we get frozen Gulf shrimp, and we only get Gulf shrimp. I'm really proud of the way we source our ingredients. Everything we can locally, and we buy the best of everything, and you can tell.
You can tell.
Cannot cheat and get substandard ingredients.
Right.
So
It
that's what
absolutely
it's going to look like.
Wow.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Everything is perfectly cooked. And again, if you're going to do this at home, the timing's a little important to put those shrimp in at the end. And then we're going to add the Alfredo.
You just pour that right over.
And again, we made a little more than we need. And
So-
that's
so-
stable. And then we're going to add the pasta, and then it's
And
lunch
you'll just
or
toss this
breakfast or
into the
dinner.
same dish, the
Yes.
pasta.
And let that heat through.
So we have used three cooking containers. That's all we've dirtied up here besides a cutting board.
I mean, it's all about being organized and having it's a great French term, your mise en place. Doing your pre-prep, go ahead and, cut your proteins, have
Measure
your herbs and
everything.
things measured out and ready to go. and it can be put together very quickly.
That's one of the things that every chef that we have had on Chop the Rock has talked about has been the mise en place. And we have always, everybody divides everything up and has it in its bowl so that basically it's like just dump at the time. So you don't, you know that you have all the ingredients that you need. You're not midway through a meal and going, uh-oh, I thought I had enough of whatever, and then kind of having to stop cooking. So, make sure we post the recipe during the show. We also post it online. So just make sure you go through, make yourself kind of a checklist of all the things that you need to have on hand and the measurements of those, and kind of get that pre-ready before you get started here.
I always tell people that are cooking one of my recipes, or our recipes at home, is the most important thing is to be organized. If you're working from a recipe, read the recipe thoroughly. Make sure you have everything. Prep as much as you can beforehand. Clean as you go, which I didn't exactly do that.
That's okay.
I usually am very good about cleaning as I go.
Me too. The last thing I want to do is clean up a huge mess in a kitchen after I've just enjoyed a meal.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very compulsive about that at home and at work. And then enjoy. So we've got the pasta.
I think it also makes it like cooking is less stressful when you've got all your kind of ducks in a row.
Oh yeah.
Because cooking can be very stressful when you have things going at the same time, and it's on a little bit of a different cooking timeline as far as that goes. So this is a great way. Staying organized makes it where you can enjoy your time in the kitchen a little bit more. Look at that.
Absolutely. It's ready.
Done.
Voila, Voodoo Pasta from Trios.
Every
night, Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday, dinner menu.
Go to our web. We have a great website.
Tell us what that is.
Triosrestaurant.com. We update it daily. Our specials are there. There are also venue shots from our private dining room. It's the best job in the world. I love being in hospitality.
That's
I
fantastic.
love being able to prepare good food for somebody, and they may come in a bad mood or grumpy, and you can completely change their day by serving them something good made with love. And that's what we do. It's from the heart.
It is, and your servers in the restaurant are also very good about extending that hospitality and how they treat and how they treat the customers, and that's important as well. And one of the great things about food is it doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is. Everybody has to eat, and so it is the one thing that you see that brings people together. So it's got to be very fulfilling to see that as well.
It is, and it is a labor of love. But in our busy world now, where people don't take the time to connect and people are focused on their devices and disconnected, one place you have an opportunity to do that is when you break bread, when you're in a restaurant. And it's the other thing that you haven't asked me about, but I want to volunteer, is the other thing I'm most proud of is the longevity of our staff, not just the restaurant, but there are 8 or 9 people that have been there for 25 plus years.
That does not happen in most industries, and
But
particularly in restaurant
not
industry.
the restaurant industry. I have one guy that works for me. He started as a 16-year-old at J.A. Fair, and he's still there now with grandkids. And
wow,
it's unbelievable. But I'm really blessed. We're like a family, and I think I have so many people in town or visitors passing through town that appreciate the freshness, the creativity, the imagination, the consistency of the food. But they say this, and I think they mean it. You can tell it's made with love. There's care there. It's not just thrown together. So
yeah.
I'm super proud about that.
You should be, and especially just the longevity of the restaurant and the staff there, because that is a reflection of the leadership, and that's you. So that's a wonderful thing.
I am the 4th generation in my family in the hospitality business.
That's right. You
Little
grew
Rock.
up in this business.
So I come by it very honestly.
Very good. Y'all, we are going to taste this amazing pasta here. I absolutely cannot wait.
You need a fork.
I do. Let's grab a fork over here.
And if you don't like spicy, you could leave out the jalapeno pepper. The andouille's got a little bit of spice all by itself.
I want a little piece of pasta here. See if I can get that without it.
That's so good.
There we go.
You know, and there's something really just comforting about pasta. It's one of my favorite comfort foods. It's good, isn't it? Bon appetit, y'all.
Bon appetit. So, I hope at home you'll try this recipe, do your own little spin on it. But more so, I hope that you go to Trio's in Pavilion in the Park. Let Capi cook some of this for you. She's got it down. It's good stuff. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I had fun today.
Me too.
Good. Everyone tune in to our next episode of Chop the Rock. Thank you for watching today.